Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs build $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And just by definition, that means we're not trying to fund 1 million companies. That is not going to happen. 1 million entrepreneurs should not be funded. There are not as many companies that have that kind of velocity of growth, but definitely 1 million bootstrap companies are possible. And given how the layers of abstraction in the technology industry are changing with all these platforms as a service, AI platforms as a service, and so on, entrepreneurs in every corner of the world now can build on much more much simpler stacks, technology stacks, without having to invest in building the entire technology stack, which was not the case when I was first an entrepreneur. We were the generation that was in the beginning of the internet and nothing existed technology-wise. So whatever you wanted to build was very expensive. Today, the cost of building anything has become so inexpensive because of these platforms on which you can build. I think 1 million by 1 million is plenty viable. So with that, in support of our mission, we do these free mentoring roundtables week after week after week, month after month, year after year. We started back in 2008. This is the 6739th session. Event is being recorded. All our recordings are available on our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables. On Twitter, we're at 1M1M and at Stromana. We publish a lot, although Twitter seems to be going in a very weird direction, increasingly weird every day. These are the call-in instructions. I will, right now we have scheduled programming first. We have 2 scheduled pitches, Samson and Sunil. But we will have time, I think, to do Q&A and open elevator pitches, introductions, etc. from the audience. So I will put this slide up later. You can also use your computer audio to talk. We're going to start today's session with Sunil Punjabi from Mumbai, India. Sunil, please unmute your line and go ahead and tell us what you're doing.
Right. Great. Thank you very much. I think very interesting introduction, very encouraging as well. And I think completely believe the fact that the base of technology is ready. I really look at business opportunities and problems to solve, and of course, scale them up as well quickly. And very good evening. So it's a little late in the evening for us right here in Mumbai, but happy to be here. Happy to share what we've been working for the last couple of years now. So just very quick introduction about me. I spent literally 17 years in the TMT space in India. Worked for a lot of media technology companies, including Star, Sony. Did a lot of work on looking at OTT platforms, inceptions, as well as a lot of work on digitization of cable networks, as well as DTH platforms. So that's been my larger background, really looking for opportunities over the last decade and a half where technology can make a massive impact. And I've literally seen the entire TMT bubble grow from X to probably 150X over these last 50 years, and really how the industry can really benefit from the impact of technology. So that's with me. The real, if you can switch to the next slide, I can probably quickly run you through. Very simply put, all human organs, as we know, are formed during pregnancy. And that's the golden window of opportunity where you can really make impact, where development literally happens from a cell to 1 billion cells. But when you look at the outcomes, literally 3 out of 5 newborns, and this is the Indian statistics, are either wasted or shunted. And we also look at literally 1 million plus newborns every year get out of NICU. What's really hinting in that is the quality of output that you really see during pregnancy itself is not up to the mark. Can you just move to the next slide, please? So the two factors that really impact, this growth journey, one is of course the health of the mother. The other is what the mother usually provides, right? So when you look at the health of the mother, which is largely genetics, 75% of pregnant mothers in India are not in the normal BMI range. Even when you look at international numbers, between 60 to 65% of pregnant mothers are not in the normal BMI range. But the other bigger factor, which is epigenetics, also has the impact where what you really provide during pregnancy is very different from day-to-day life. So the mother's nutrition, her mental health, her physical health, her sleep, her water intake, everything has direct impact on that development journey. The other large actor within this entire ecosystem of development is the obgyn. And when we look at the medical infrastructure itself, only 15 to 18% of large organized healthcare ecosystems have an EMR in place. But the bigger challenge of these EMRs is basic thing like LMP does not exist in the ecosystem to even capture. And it becomes very difficult for obgyns to really use some of those ecosystems to even work or build on. Add to it the bigger challenge, of course, pregnancy being a long window of consultation. It's the only physician who actually has 9 months of literally or 40 weeks of consultation. And in all of that as well, the other two big challenges is that mothers don't come on time. Right? So literally 65% of pregnant mothers don't have less than 4 antenatal visits when the prescribed international FIGO standard of consultation is 16 during the 40-week window. With this limitation as well, the other bigger challenge that exists is how you visualize data as well. So pregnancy is relative in its nature. So when you look at data, it's basically the mother, let's assume, has gotten into pregnancy being anemic. The question is the extent of anemia and relative anemia versus anemia on a standalone basis. But no EMR today even provides you with that piece of information. There's a tectonic increase in the resource requirement during pregnancy itself from a specialization perspective. Can you just go to the next slide, please? So where we believe is where the mother is and where the pain is extremely well demonstrated in that window of pregnancy, where there's very limited support of the mother. Pregnancy and there's enough and more data being provided that literally the mother's workload literally doubles during pregnancy. With that, she also has multiple physiological and anatomical changes that he goes through. Where she's really looking for support, she goes through multiple moments of high anxiety and panic during that window itself. And where we believe is where the misalignment of goals happen, where the mother is really looking for good health of the child. What the obgyn is really providing her is literally focusing towards a live baby and a live mother. And that is where the basic difference in terms of expectation or misalignment actually happens. We'll just move to the next. So when you look at some of the current solutions in the market, there are a lot of individual solutions being provided to mothers from, let's assume, lifestyle apps, etc., with providing some, advantages of giving you, what should we do in your nutrition, mental health. And when you also look at the platforms from a obgyn perspective, there are a lot of EMR companies, but again, a lot of those are old technology, hardly been usable solution. There is no medically inclusive platform which helps both the gynecologist and mother to build an ecosystem and support the gynecologist to support the mother. Because technically, when you look at the mother, for the mother, the doctor is the god, and there is no way that she can directly connect with the obgyn itself. Can you just move to the next slide, please? So what we have built is basically a connected ecosystem between the obgyn and the pregnant mother. What we've built is a template of FIGO international standard. We've literally created one standard because India does not have any standard of the 16 consultations that I was mentioning. With that, we've also preloaded all physical parameters that the gynecologist today tracks with the mother from. And we've also, within that, also built in ranges. The whole idea is really saying, how can the gynecologist start using the platform? Because one of the big challenge today between EMR is to literally sit and type of it. So we've codified all ranges. We literally, if you have wireless mouse and you have a monitor, you should be able to complete your consultation. With that, we've also provided templated antenatal test summaries, which gynecologists can use to really look at how the mother and the baby are progressing throughout the pregnancy. And of course, templates of prescriptions as well as antenatal tests. So the whole idea is really to create a skin on top of an EMR, which then becomes the mode or module to connect and make not only entering data into the system, but also visualizing and making clinical decisions better and faster. This platform is then now connected to a mobile app for the pregnant mother. Can we move to the next slide, please? And what we provide the mother is what we call as a healthy baby routine. As we all know, when we clearly saying 75% are not in the normal BM range, their healths are really not ill. But it's all about really how do you really help the mother go through a change in terms of habit. And the habit change, of course, has to be very simple and easy for the mother to consume. At the same time, the core motivation for the mother is, of course, the health of the baby, and that's where the focus is. So what we've literally built is simple actionable cards which get refreshed for the mother every week based on what the consultation the gynecologist has provided. So we use an algorithm to support the mother for her nutrition, her mental health, her physical health, as well as her antenatal tests, her prescriptions. So everything literally sits for her as simple actionable cards. And each actionable card also has given you exact and precise understanding of why that action is extremely important for the health of the child. So a simple thing like, even antenatal tests, why the antenatal test, what is the relative output of the antenatal test, and why should she be, doing those antenatal tests on time, even including, let's assume her appointment and why is it important? Because which then reflects back how the baby is and what's really developing in that window and why is it important to track that. The whole idea is to refresh, make it actionable. Once the mother completes the action, she can tick off those actions which then become a feeder into her next physical consultation with the gynecologist. So the whole idea is to create this ecosystem of recommendation, action, and feedback to be literally cycled around for literally 40 weeks, which should effectively help the mother go through the journey far more effectively and empower her to make some of those changes that is really required for the baby to go through and look at development far better. We go to the next slide, please. Where we are in terms of status, we've literally now completed our initial clinical trials. What we're really now doing is, I'm not sure if you are fully aware of ABDM. ABDM is an interoperable system that is getting, which is equivalent to the FHIR for the US standards. There is an ABDM standard that the Indian ecosystem is developing. We're actually becoming, as we speak, completing that from a development standpoint, and hopefully in a week or two should be able to kind of complete that. We've also got a pilot going out with AIMS Guwahati. AIMS is a government infrastructure. I'm not sure how many people are aware here, but it's an infrastructure where very high volume, it's government supported health infrastructure being built, extremely large scale facility, literally handling anywhere from 150 to 200 mothers a day. That's the kind of volume that they look at. So we've got a trial with them to, implement the ecosystem and start using and building recommendations from a use case perspective. Can we go next, please? So where we are, we're really focusing more, really saying how can we improve not only care, but also how do we improve the object practice from a domain perspective. Today, adherence is the biggest challenge. Care is a bigger challenge, but also the bigger challenge, of course, is the outcomes that you're getting. Today, almost literally 1 out of 2 mothers, have a preterm birth, and how do we can really improve some of those labor outcomes. But the labor outcome is then a definition of the quality of health and hence the development within the window of pregnancy itself inside the mother's womb. That's what we are trying to achieve, and that's it from me.
Sunil, the pitch doesn't have any information on business model, pricing model, TAM,
Right.
uh,
Right.
market strategy.
I actually kept it very tight. I'm more than happy to run you through it. If I thought we had very limited time, so I just kept it more at the idea level or rather the concept level. So very quickly, I think at a business level, we are going to be a subscription model. So subscription to be paid by the mother. So we are a B2B2C.
Paid by the mother.
On board. Yes, to be paid by the mother. So we're adding value completely from a platform perspective to the mother itself. So today, one of the bigger, we're basically pitching it as a product which will enhance her pregnancy journey itself. So yes, we onboard gynecologists. So we are a B2B2C who in turn then onboards the mother. So the whole idea is to really see how we can empower the gynecologist to support the mother itself and hence the quality of consultation and output.
And what is the pricing? How much
So
is
we're really right now from an Indian perspective, it's 1,000 rupees a month, which will be like a $15 a month kind of pricing.
so, and it's a 9-month process, or is it
Yes,
post?
9 months,
So not just
9 months.
9-month process. So 9,000 rupees is the total outlay you're
Yeah,
expecting.
absolutely.
And from a segmentation point of view, what part of the population, what kind of household income can afford to pay that?
See, today when you look at 9,000 rupees, I think more than, of course, our clear focus is largely the metros, so tier one and two towns, which is basically almost 60% of the 2.5 odd million childbirths that happen 25 million childbirths that happen every year in India. But I think the relative to that number is basically how much the mother is literally paying for, a labor, right? So the laboring process would be anywhere between, between 75,000 to a lakh of rupees. Relative to that, we are only 10% of that price. So when you really look at,
Who is
relative
able
to
to pay that? What part of the 2.5 million or 25 million births, let's say,
correct. So this
say
reason,
60%
yeah, I said
of that is in
60%.
the metros.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I
what
said
percentage of that
60%.
can afford to pay this kind of money?
60% of the universe should be able to pay us
No, I don't
that kind
think
of
that
money.
is correct. 60% of the universe may be in the major metros. I don't think they're capable of paying that kind of money.
Okay.
60% of I mean, just being in the major metros doesn't mean they're paying a lakh for births, right?
So
I
in
mean,
fact, the averages are much, much higher. So I'm just really talking averages. When you look at the delta will be anywhere from 50,000 to 5 lakh rupees. So if you are, let's assume, living in South Mumbai, you could Beach Candy, your delivery is 5 lakh rupees. So I'm not even looking at, the extremes. I'm really looking at
that's not
averages.
the issue. The issue is there are births in the slums as well, and they cannot pay this money.
Right. So even if you look at Sion Hospital, which if you're familiar with Mumbai, right, Sion is 30,000 rupees, and as an average for delivery, right? So that's the kind of number that any which ways and again, I'm really
Mean
talking about.
anything to me. I don't know Mumbai. I'm not from Mumbai. Most people
Right.
here are
Right. So
from
it's a
Mumbai.
public
So
facility. Sion Hospital is a public facility that is very, very close to Dharavi, which is a slum, the biggest slum in Asia. So if you were to really look at relative comparison, for a institutional delivery, that is the kind of amount that you would pay.
I have a hard time believing, knowing the poverty level in the major metros. I have a hard time believing that that layer can universally pay 50,000 rupees for a birth.
30,000 rupees if you're really
30,000
looking at the
rupees.
bottom of the pyramid. Yes, 30,000 rupees.
I don't think so. I think you should research that. The
Sure.
reason I'm asking this question is because you're going to be asked for a bottom-up TAM analysis of your opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what is that? What is your bottom-up TAM analysis?
Like I said, we've done that research. I've been to Sion Hospital myself. In fact, I've also been to the MCGM hospitals where, that is the average cost that is being paid unless and until you're getting covered by, or rather, if you have, been taken up, government insurance, right? So even
Something
government
else
is
is
today
happening.
covering the
I think
insurance.
there's a
So those are, I think, different pieces that are getting put together, but that's the kind of broad number that is already up in the ground, and I live out of Mumbai. I'm not very far from Sion, and I've visited a couple of these places as well. Like
what
I
is the
said, the
TAM?
bigger.
What is based on your assumptions? What is the TAM that you are projecting?
See, I'm back to that same number, 60% of the two and a half
What is
million,
the number? I'm
25 million.
asking for a rupees or a dollar number.
Oh, you're talking about the entire size of the value of the market.
TAM is a dollar or a rupees number.
Oh, okay. No, so I was looking TAM in terms of volumes. I think you're looking in terms of value. I think that's the only difference. So it will be close to around 100 million
100 million what? Dollars?
dollars. Yes.
Okay. If it's $100 million and $100 million in India based on this, the assumption that you just talked about, or 100
Yes,
million?
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, is there opportunity outside of India?
In fact, that is what there is a so from an applicability perspective, for us, the applicability is literally everywhere a human is getting born, right? So, like I said, we've actually used international FIGO standards of care, and hence international standard applicable to literally every part of the world where this can be used as an
What
ecosystem.
language is the system in?
Right now it's in English, but as you know today, you can convert languages on the fly, right? So that's that. I think from a tech perspective, it's very easy to literally do
You
applicable to
can't
any
convert
individual
languages
language.
on the fly. How can you convert languages on the fly? You have to localize a piece of software fully to.
No, from a delivery perspective, of course. I'm like, I've been into broadcasting myself. You can literally, there are enough and more modules available
This
today
is a
to
software, right? This is a
convert.
piece of
Sorry.
software.
Yes, but when you're delivering it on the cloud itself, you can actually literally deliver it from I think you're looking at two pieces. One is, of course, the platform that is sitting on the gynecologist, right? So language then conversion then becomes very easy because you're still, using hard-coded, data entry points, etc. But when it goes to the mother, you can literally make it on the mobile front, literally, convert it basis on what you can really be delivering in terms of languages. So
What
not very difficult to kind of do that to literally every language that you can think of.
is it 100% telehealth system?
No, so in fact, we're not really pitching ourselves into telehealth at all. We are more focused towards the physical consultation. So everything that we do is more really focusing on the relationship that because gynecology or rather pregnancy is a very, very physical need, physical assessment is extremely important part of it. So our focus is more on the physical assessment. Teleconsultation literally has no value in pregnancy.
Okay, so it's a physical system, but it's what you are providing is kind of EMR around a physical process. That's your
EMR, yes, and the support between two consultation itself. So the bigger challenge, of course, is, so even if you look at, a 3 to 4 week window between two consultations, the 3 week average window, especially during the initial part of the pregnancy, the support is what you really need, and you really need actionable that you can make because as you know, literally every week the baby is growing and there are newer milestones that you're achieving literally on a weekly basis. So how can you really make that some of those changes that you can do on the fly and personalize that for literally every mother?
So what is
So that is where.
Yes, can we just stay with the go-to-market strategy for a second? I'm just trying to understand the business a bit to answer
Sure.
your questions.
Sure.
So how is it this gonna work? This AIMS relationship that you are trying to build for a B2B2C distribution.
Yep.
What so AIMS is gonna take the payment and then they're gonna every month they're gonna transfer the payment to you?
Yes, that's how it will be. Initially, we've kind of built in a trial for them for 3 months. So literally every mother gets it for free. And then they start charging the mother.
And what is the size of an average deal size with one of these relationships?
See,
Yeah.
again, it's going to vary literally. So if you really look at the larger market, the organized player or multi-speciality hospitals would typically literally do 10% of the volume. And there are a lot of individual multi-special, rather maternity homes in India, which would contribute to almost 40 to 50% of the universe. The rest of them are largely individual gynecologists. So the volumes is actually sitting right at the top of the pyramid where you have multi-speciality hospitals, which then become which can get you with lesser units get you more volume, but that literally
That's good, but what is it automatic? Like if you do a deal with AIMS, let's
yes,
say you do this deal with AIMS, does it then automatically mean that all mothers have to pay for this?
yes, so that's exactly the whole system where we're providing for the ecosystem from a support perspective. So literally every mother they on board then gets onto the platform.
So to answer your question about funding, any investor would like to see validation of your assumptions.
Sure.
So you're going to need to play out aims and see at least one instance and see what that looks like, you know.
Of course.
You do the deal, then you know the hospital onboards its patients. What is involved in that onboarding process? How much do you have to be involved? What, you know, it is a behavior change that you are requiring for this to be successful. A behavior change on behalf of the hospital, a behavior change on behalf of the mothers. So there is, you know, there are various onboarding and adoption issues that people will want to understand. Is this going to move at any, you know, high velocity pace? Because remember, VCs, you know, professional institutional VCs, and of course angels feed into the VCs, are looking to go from 0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years. You will not be able to do that kind of velocity with a $100 million market. That requires a $1 billion market. But if you have outside of India opportunities, then your market is not $100 million. Your TAM is much bigger than that. And that's something you're going to have to flesh out, is what are the next markets that you're going to go for? Is it Africa? Is it Southeast Asia? Where are you going to go? How are you going to sell, etc.?
Correct.
But first, clearly the first market is India. And you're saying, you know, most of the business is in the top 10% of the hospitals. So it's a smaller number of deals that you have to do.
Correct.
To penetrate that market. So that's fine. All that is good. You know, presumably you're going to be able to get to $20-30 million of revenue on just those 10% of the institutions, correct?
Absolutely.
Or more.
No, I think that's a fair estimate to have.
So the immediate action item is you sell in the Indian market in the top tier, and you just make those deals happen, and you don't have to do anything else other than figuring out what is the 5 to 7 year path that gets you to $100 million in revenue.
Right.
So that's the question. 100 million TAM is not going to give you 100 million revenue.
Correct.
So that's something you need to figure out, is where is that rest of it going to come from? And my recommendation would be to go for these geographies where, you know, these are immature markets, emerging markets, whether it's Africa, whether it's, again, you can do the same thing in a way. Probably the same dynamics applies to all of those ecosystems, right?
Of course.
Indonesia, the African countries, Nigeria, Brazil, etc. 10% of the higher end hospitals is where bulk of your business is going to be. So that's something you're going to have to do. And I don't know that there are partnership opportunities, but it's the same kind of B2B2C deals that you do in India. You're going to have to do with direct sales to those hospitals. That's the way you're going to have to penetrate those markets. You're going to have to hire account managers in those markets and sell to those markets directly. Unless you can find system integrators that work in the healthcare, in the hospital focused market. Correct. And those exist, at least in America, they definitely exist.
Correct.
You have to look, where else do they exist, especially in the emerging markets? Do they exist in the emerging markets? And if you can go to market through them, then you have to figure out all the revenue share and everything also. Right. And that's another question that comes to my mind is AIMS going to charge you for reselling this thing or distributing this thing? Those are questions that are going to come up in your negotiation with AIMS. That's something also investors would like to know, because that will dramatically impact margins and so on. So you can look for these system integrator partnerships who work in the hospital sector and see if that's an avenue. At the moment, first and foremost, you're going to have to do a lot of direct deals and just stay focused on India and
Sure.
do direct deals in India in the top end of the market and just validate it so that you can start accessing some funding. But to get to that funding, you have to show how are you going to get to $100 million in 5 to 7 years.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good. Absolutely.
You're welcome. Okay. Samson, I think, is presenting this pitch from Latvia. Samson, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Samarna, can I hang up? Is that okay?
It's up to you if you can stay and listen, and I will explain how to use 1Mby1M later in the program, and you can listen to that.
Right, right. No, it's a little late in the day for us. The kids got to walk.
Hang up if you want.
Yeah,
Sure, you can.
perfect, perfect. So I'll be in touch. We'll speak soon, hopefully.
Okay.
All right.
If you speak to me more, you have to be in the program. Just be aware of that. I will explain all.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'll pick up another slot as well.
No, you can't pick up another slot here. You have to be in the premium program to be able to work with me. We don't allow people to speak here more than once.
Sure, I get that. All right, thank you so much.
Samson, are you ready to start?
Yes, we are. Thank you, Samara,
You're
for
welcome.
the opportunity. I hope, is it fine if I off my video or should I on my video?
It's okay. You can put your video off if you have bandwidth issues or any other reason. It's fine. You can just use audio. It's fine.
I guess it'll be, yep. So yeah. So today I'll be presenting with my friend. He's my not friend actually. He's my partner. To be. So just to introduce ourselves, my name is Samson. I'm doing my PhD here in Latvia, and this is my partner, my business partner. His name is Sri Pradesh, and he used to work for a US company called Kebat. He was an export-import specialist, and originally we're from India, but now we are in Latvia to pursue our studies. But at the same time, we are, focusing on the business plan. We have been researching and thinking what will be the best model and what will be the best profit that we can generate, not for ourselves, but also for the country as a whole, and also which will, keep on growing in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So yes, going on to the next slide. So to speak more about us, we call ourselves Centaurnex. So basically what we are is we focus on B2B sales. Basically, we tailor to restaurants, bars, cafes. What we try to do is we call ourselves an e-commerce warehousing. Basically, where it's a B2B, but an e-commerce warehousing where we gather supplies and keep in our warehouse and then pitch it and sell it to the restaurants, bars, cafes who will be on retails, who will be our potential customers at the same time. We will also focus on a tailored service or a personalized or customizations where each customers and basically even a restaurants get diverse. So Chinese or an Indian restaurants may have a different preference. So we thought of, focusing on especially catering to what they want, actually, the supplies, because sometimes supplies are very hard to find here in Latvia, to be honest. And also, if you speak of, the other countries apart from, an alien country like an European country, if we even speak of that instances for America, there are many other restaurants, bars, cafes. I mean, like especially restaurants, when we speak of the ingredients, where they get from, where do they get from? That is a questionable doubt. So at the same time, here in Latvia is also a thing, where are they getting their supplies from? So here we focused on especially catering to those kinds of bars, restaurants, but at the same time, why retail and why bars and why retail? Because when we speak of profit, because at the same time bars, because each country has their own sets of specialized drinks, if to say in that perspective. So in order to feel more localized in a foreign land, so we thought of focusing on those customized products and customized sales. And at the same time, retail stores. There are also retail stores. Where are they getting supplies from at the same time? Yes, if we can provide them localized supplies based on what they feel accustomed to, feel homely to in a foreign country. So that's what we are actually targeting. Target customers are basically, as we said, bars, restaurants, and retails. And also we will keep on gradually expanding in that sense, in that sense. So our main focus is on what we are is basically, like I said, is an e-commerce warehousing. And also at the same time, we focus on back-end logistics. So here, why back-end logistics? Because at the same time, because supplies, we're gathering supplies and keeping in our inventory, and where customers will place their order. Because here what we found according to our research is that most customers, they take orders through phones. Like even if you take restaurants, bars, cafes, they take through phones. So they call their suppliers, they call the suppliers, and they kind of, it depends on the suppliers. They, even though they say we want it tomorrow, the suppliers bring it maybe according to their own timing, and maybe 2-3 days later after that. But here what we focus is on easing the performance, easing the efficiency, not just for us, but for especially focusing on our customers, where they can place their order anytime at any place where they want. So if they want supplies today, based on the timing that they need, we will provide them on the time that they set. So this is what we are actually portraying, and this is what we are actually trying to do. And yes, I will also let my partner speak on more on what we are and what we are trying to do in the future. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you for introducing. It was me who actually emailed you, wrote a message in LinkedIn requesting for this presentation. So basically, in summary, what we are going to do is that there will be a digital application where the owners of bars, retail stores, and the restaurants, they can place orders. So once we get the order, we will be having our own warehouse and our storage system where we will process these orders, and we will be having our own transportation system where we'll be delivering these goods to their doorstep. So this is a whole concept over here.
So
This is
who
what
is
we
the
have
customer?
developed.
Who is storing their stuff in your warehouses? Is it the suppliers to the bars and restaurants? Yes.
Yes. So what we are doing is that we have suppliers in Latvia. So what we will do is that we will procure these supplies from these suppliers, and we will store it in our warehouse.
Buy
So as a primary step,
the supplies?
sorry.
You will buy the supplies?
Yes, what we are going to do is that first of all, we will be having a contact with our clients,
That makes
and
you
we will
not a
take.
logistic providers. If you're buying supplies from suppliers and storing in your warehouse, that makes you not a logistic provider. That makes you a wholesale distributor. That's a different business.
The plan is that, Surmana, what we are going to do is that we will first of all identify the needs of these bars, retail stores, and restaurants. And what we will do is that we will collect these informations or the products that they require. They will be needing a specific products, and we will be feeding this thing into our digital platform. So on the basis of their requirement, they can actually place the orders. And once we get the orders, we will actually process in our system. We will actually, store it in our system. In our warehouse, and we will actually provide it to their doorstep.
You're not saying the word that is the most important here. You will be buying these supplies.
Yes. Yes, we will be
That
procuring.
makes
Yes.
you not a logistics provider at all. That makes you a distributor.
Yeah, true.
So that's a very different business.
Mhm.
And that is going to require a lot of capital for you to be able to play this game. That's a capital intensive business.
Yes, we are actually very much aware actually of what we are portraying too.
I will tell you
It
one
is.
thing. As first time entrepreneurs without a lot of track record in the market, it is going to be very difficult to do a capital intensive business. Where is the capital going to come from?
That's
No
a good
one's going to
question.
give you money to do this business. So I think this is not a good idea. It's not a good idea because you will not be able to raise money to do this business. So come up with a business idea that is capital efficient, that can be done as a lean startup, and focus on that. This business idea is not a good idea because you will not be able to raise money to do this business. This is going to be very capital intensive, and you will have a hard time doing this business.
Oh, all right.
So in this case, yes, thank you so much for the advice, actually, the other comments, because that's what we are also looking for, because since we are new into this field, I mean, into this new startup plans, because we are developing into this new, phase of what we're exploring. Yeah, so we thought of maybe, even though it's capital intensive, maybe we thought of just like going forward, maybe trying to go to this market. At the same time, we are actually aware of the high capital investment that is needed in this business.
No, you shouldn't
So, yes.
businesses that have that kind of risk. Part of the success of entrepreneurs is risk mitigation. And this is a level of risk that I don't recommend that you take on. I will, if you hold on for a moment, I'm going to explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million. I think you should go back to the drawing board and take yourself to the ideation process in a more formal way. And I will show you exactly how to do that. So listen to me for another 5 minutes and then ask me your questions. Okay?
Okay.
I will give you very concrete guidance on how to do the ideation process in a more formal, more precise way. So folks, those of you who are listening, as you can see, I'm giving very direct feedback of what is missing, what you need, how you can navigate your journey. If you like that, I'm not giving gratuitous pats in the back. I'm giving you constructive feedback on what you can do, what you should do. So if you like that approach, refer 1M by1M to other serious entrepreneurs. All our resources are at 1mby1m.com. You will find a blog series that is completely free. You will find the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, that is, all the books are digital, available or on Amazon. And these are case study based books. You could start your learning journey there. These roundtables happen every week. You can come and listen every week. The full acceleration program from 1M by1M is 1M by1M Premium. If you want to work with me closely on a week-by-week basis, if you want to access our methodology, our curriculum, business development resources, all the consulting, this kind of consulting that happens in the private roundtables, help with financing, media relations, all of that is part of the premium program. So if you want real acceleration, you need to join the premium program. The self-assessment is a free tool available on the website. You can put whatever idea you are testing, you are trying to figure out whether this idea is going to work or not. Take that idea through this questionnaire. These are the questions VCs are going to ask you. And this is the VC due diligence process, essentially questions wise. And this is to help you prepare for a VC due diligence process. And if you can't answer these questions, if you've encountered knowledge gaps, you can start doing our curriculum. On our blog, pinned to the top, is a free bootstrapping course. You must do that course because today it is very difficult to raise any money without doing extensive bootstrapping first and validating your idea. Mostly investors do not finance unvalidated ideas. You can also start your learning process on Udemy with our courses. We have 80 plus courses on Udemy. You can start learning through those. And we have coupons, discount coupons available. Maureen will give you the link to go to this link, basically. And you will be able to pick up coupons for all these courses. And you can also start your learning journey there and starting to plug the knowledge gaps. And if you go through that list, you will see I have courses like how to test and validate a business idea. There's a course on validation, there's a course on positioning. All of these courses are going to be helpful for you in figuring out how do you, whether your idea has legs or not. When we're in the ideation phase of a business, it is normal to have multiple ideas. It is very, very reasonable to take, each idea through a validation exercise, formal validation exercise, and decide that, no, this is not a good idea. So to arrive at a good idea, you may have to work through a few different ideas and then get to one that, okay, this makes sense now. But I recommend that you take the time to do that process and not jump into something that is a bad idea. Now, all our curriculum, our entire curriculum is available at 1M by1M Basic as a subscription. You can also do, Udemy is a subset. There's a lot in Udemy, but it is a subset. Basic is completely everything that you need. So go to the website, look around, premium program, what to expect from the premium program, what to expect from basic, FAQs, video FAQs, description of the curriculum. You know, there's core curriculum and then there's electives, and you can decide based on all of this is case study based. The entire curriculum is case study based. Successful entrepreneurs have shared their case studies, and you get the opportunity to stand on the shoulder of giants who have done it before. And they in a very detailed way, they share how they've done it, how they've put one foot before the other. So you can listen to these case studies and learn from them, create your own blueprints for your journeys. The investor introduction policy is that we will have to get you to a point where investors are going to not reject you offhand. So you should study the investor introduction policy. You may come in without being ready for investor introduction, but please don't expect that the minute you sign up for the program, we're going to send you to investors. That's not how it's going to work. Our philosophy is bootstrap first, raise money later. Do not go to investors as beggars, go as kings. Less than 1% of companies who seek financing actually get financed. So you have to really manage your risks there and manage the probability of fundraising. So that's it. We have roundtables, you know, pretty much every week, except maybe the end of May, we have one gap. So 2 more in May, 4 in June, 4 in July. So you have plenty of opportunities to come talk to me. Those of you who are listening to this program and have not pitched yet, you can only pitch for free at a free roundtable once. After that, if you want to work with me, you need to be in the premium program. So that's it. Now you can ask questions. You guys, I've shared with you some of the process of how you can use 1 million by 1 million to start understanding the ideation process and developing some methodology guidance. In my opinion, the best ideation happens if you get some of the core curriculum under your belt and do one of the electives, at least in an area where you're interested. So you can do the e-commerce module. You know, we have an e-commerce course, multiple e-commerce courses actually on Udemy. There is regular B2C e-commerce, B2B e-commerce. You have marketplace, you know, two-sided marketplaces. That's another way. The kind of business that you're talking about, instead of warehousing and instead of buying inventory, if you do this as a two-sided marketplace, it may be a cost-efficient, you know, lean startup process that will work in Latvia, depending on what the market situation is. So you're going to have to think through all these possibilities and how you can do this in a cost-effective manner as a lean startup. So that's important. The ideation process you should learn much more acutely and much more precisely, and then put yourself through a proper ideation process so that you can come up with an idea that is viable as opposed to something that is set up to fail. Now, if you have questions about the 1M1M program after this call, I will not be answering those questions. Irina Patterson on our team will be answering those questions. Her email is irina@1mby1m.com, but she's happy to get on the phone with you, Skype, WhatsApp, whatever you want. Now, anybody else? Questions, comments, introductions? Happy to take more from the audience.
Yes, yeah, which is I'd just like to say some viewers, thank you so much actually for all the knowledgeable insights and information, because even for us on our side, yeah, I think yes, we can look more further into it, and the idea that you have actually given to us, you know, insightful information, I think we can look more, maybe taking the idea of e-commerce and, like as you said, you know, like maybe taking into this perspective where cost efficient, because cost efficient and how we can start off with much more of a, you know, not much of an investment, but at the same time where it can actually bring us a generation in the first 1 year itself. So yes, I think we will dive deep into it and research more on the field, and maybe we can actually we will actually look into it. Thank you so much actually for the insightful information. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good. Anybody in the room wants to introduce yourself, talk about what you're working on, what brings you here, any questions? You can also type your questions in public chat. Yes, no? Anybody? Okay. In that case, I'm going to wrap up and we will talk next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.